Automation Nation, Automation Nation, Automation Nation, around the nation. Automation Nation, Automation Nation, Automation Nation, around the nation, around the nation, around the nation. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, the show for business leaders, tech aficionados, and those who are just simply curious about where technology and business are going. Automation Nation is your gateway to understanding automation, AI, and the future of business. Don't get left behind. Tune in now and subscribe for more. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are. We're back again for another great automation conversation. You know what we like to do. We like to talk about things that are going to help people do better in life and do better in business. And I believe, and most of my guests believe, if you can find a way, I made a post about this the other day too. If you can find a way to connect HI and AI, human intelligence and artificial intelligence, you will create what's called EI, enhanced intelligence. And ultimately, that's what you want to do. My guest today, David Toth. Welcome to this conversation. Thank you for spending your time. And I really believe that you're a person who knows a little bit about that AI plus HI equaling EI if it's done right. Am I right? Am I right?
I hope so. And I got jazzed up that introduction, that music. I got to try to figure out how to jump on the bandwagon and do one for my podcast. I love it.
Well, listen, look no further and I'll do it for you because I love doing it. I love creating those things. So I'm going to read a little bit of your bio here from LinkedIn so folks can get a good understanding of who they're listening to, because I know some nuggets are going to get dropped here. So you need to know what's going on. So David is the Chief Growth Officer and Principal at Winding River Consulting, okay, a firm that specializes in helping accounting and advisory firms achieve strategic growth. This is very important, strategic growth. You don't want to just grow all kind of crazily, because sometimes when you grow too crazily, you get those growing pains and the ones you can't come back from.
Wheels are off the bus.
Yeah. With over 16 years of experience in marketing, business development, and digital technology, David is a recognized leader and influencer in the accounting profession. Having been named one of 20 under 40 CPA influencers by CPA Practice Advisor in 2023. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
A notable leader by Cranes Cleveland in accounting and frequent keynote speaker in strategic growth. And I've seen him. I've heard some of his talks and things that he's saying. I think you should listen. I think you should listen. It was very valuable. So one of the things, David, I think that I want you to kind of share how you got to this journey and what brought you here. But all those who are listening, I think that one of the most important things, I always say this, it's great to hear the information, but it's better if you can use it. So if you're taking notes with your phone, take it with your phone, your pen, somehow capture this information. Of course, you have a rewind button, but pay attention and lock in. David, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, Rob. And I know we were catching up before here where weather is a little bit warmer than it was a couple of days ago. So kind of getting used to that whole shift. But in terms of my journey and just kind of where I started, always been an entrepreneur, always been somebody that likes to jump off the bridge, take risk, and look at different ways of industries, business models, professions being disrupted, right? And so part of that was in the experiential marketing space, face-to-face, and watching big brands go to multiple events and buy expensive equipment versus leasing models. And so if you kind of fast forward to Winding River Consulting, and kind of skip the journeys around some of the agency work that we built and did. I started, as a fractional CMO for two different professional service firms. One was Mink Law, and the other was kind of in the real estate space. And both of those firms young entrepreneurs under the age of 40 left bigger firms, whether it was in the law space or CPA space, to start their own practices, built their practices around a digital first mindset, driving digital demand, right? One of them was a really aggressive and robust SEO strategy, capturing 200 plus leads a week. Another one, very community oriented. So it wasn't just about search, it was also about communities, platforms, content creation. And they've built up these machines now that are driving reoccurring opportunities. But it's not just about driving demand, it's equally as much about fulfilling and scaling it. And in a lot of cases, we're losing the data that's accessible to us in those stages that make us smarter and when we're going forward. So I got to spend 2 years with both those organizations. They're now doing between 4 to 6 million, the other between 8 and 10 million. One common theme about the two of them is niches. They focused in specific industries. And if you think about the evolution of Google and the internet, the way we search today versus 5 years ago is much more niched. We're doing it through voice. We're asking complete questions or sentences. It's not just about finding shoes near me, finding CPA near me. It's finding a CPA that specializes in marketing agencies, right? So I think they started, really thinking about that strategically when they built their foundation, and then really being exposed to, hey, this works. And then you look at the top 400 accounting firms in the profession. There's 45,000 CPAs across the globe. 45,000. I've heard 41,000, 41,000. But when you break it down, there's maybe only 6 to 800 doing 10 million or above in revenue. And so when you start peeling back the layers on that ecosystem, most firms aren't doing that type of revenue digitally. And so it opened up our eyes to realize that there's a tremendous opportunity in helping firms transform, adopt, connect digital, connect automation with the human aspect of things, and make this a successful strategy going forward versus, as you kind of hinted towards, random acts of marketing.
Random acts of marketing. Yeah, I love it. Great breakdown. Thank you for that. And we love to ask all of our guests this question too. This is a question and I'm really interested to see what yours is. So we're powered by Simply Automate. If you could simply automate one thing in your personal life, David, what would that be?
The coordination between my family, my wife, and my personal calendars. And we're getting there. And there's a lot of different things moving out, and there's different apps that you can use. But at the end of the day, I have a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old. My wife works, passionate about what she does. She's a CPA. She's been in the space for a long time. I'm constantly traveling all over the place. I look forward to the day when our schedules all align and we're on the same page every morning when we wake up and by the time we go to bed at night. So that's my dream vision. But for right now, my big one, right, is, and you do it and you preach it, and I watch some of our clients. Consistency is hard. When it comes to content creation and managing your online brand and your digital footprint, being consistent is hard.
Woo.
And ideation isn't difficult, but bringing those ideation to fruition and then doing it week in and week out, or month in and month out, and setting realistic expectations of what you can. I'm going to do it every day. No, I'll do it once a week, maybe once a month. Now it's so just getting to that point and figuring out how the automation can help us accomplish that is what my personal number one goal is right now.
Ooh, I like that. It makes sense. Now you can be the person who gives us some good insight on this. Will AI make accounting obsolete? It's a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of the known. They're just afraid. But there's a lot more pros than there are cons. My question to you is, will AI make accounting obsolete? And if not, what do you see the benefits really long term?
It's a great question. When you talk about Winding River Consulting and what we do 3 things. And everything that we do is 100% within, the accounting industry at this point. Leadership development, consulting and advisory, and digital. And so you talked a little bit about my background, what we do. There's a big overlap between strategic growth and practice management and how that needs to kind of, occur going forward. When we talk about AI, I think that the short-term expectations are not nearly as incredible or impactful or as powerful as long-term realities. So we have these massive expectations in the short term that just probably aren't going to be accomplishable. It's just not going to happen in 2024. Most firms in an industry of followers is waiting for the technology to catch up. We use and invest into technology major platforms. And I do have a little bit of a skewed perspective looking more at the top 400 and having Intel or perspective to that. But we're waiting for them to come and give us the tools to evaluate how it's going to impact us. At the end of the day, accountants will not be obsolete. The ones that are not figuring out where AI is going to be part of that conversation could be. But in the near future, AI is not going to solve the problem of the capacity crisis. It's not going to eliminate those roles. I do believe there are people out there that are trying to prove where they can, make it obsolete. But when it comes to the relationship, when it comes to our ability to serve clients, when it comes to how we get the job done, yeah, there's going to be a major impact around it, but it's not going to make the profession or the need for accounting or CPAs obsolete.
Right.
Part of that conversation is top of mind because if you look at all of the data that's out there today about the capacity problem in the industry, the profession, there's not a solution that's probably a short-term win. It's a 5 to 10-year plan. It's going to take a lot of time to do it. So we need to rely on technology to help solve part of that problem, whether it is doing the work, process optimization, being more efficient with our time. Eventually, the obsolete accountant's the one that's not adopting AI and the technology that's at their fingertips.
That's big. And I love the way you put that. It's important to know so that your occupation, accounting industry is not going away for humans. It's the mundane, repetitive work that's going away. And if you actually can begin to start adopting some of these technology and trends, you can become better at what you do. If you decide to opt out of learning these technologies, you could face some trouble in the future, just logically, right?
I think one of the questions is when to start making it a priority for who you are and where you are in that maturity cycle. Because right now, if you're trying to make it a priority, there's a little bit of a scramble going on because there's no clear-cut way it's being utilized day in and day out within any firm. Yes, a little bit on HR, maybe a little bit on growth, maybe a little bit, when it comes to what we're doing on the HR side or employee benefits, right? So when we're talking about the actual work of it, yeah, I think we're following what other people are doing. You're seeing a lot of the larger firms roll out different language models, their own models, internally. They're starting to test out how it can, impact efficiencies. But it's not really at the point of necessarily doing all the work in a scalable manner that's going to address that, void. So I do believe that there's still a lot to be told. What I find interesting is firms are starting to understand what they need to be successful with AI. And that's data.
That's data.
Right? Yeah. In a lot of cases, we have data, but where does that data live? How is it being accessed? The governance around it, and then thinking about what it's going to do to help serve our clients better. And I think that's where firms are starting to maybe prioritize as part of this journey to say, we don't have the solutions yet, but we know without strong data and governance around it, we're not going to be as successful. And so maybe that's a good starting point for us. And I don't know, Rob, if that's something that, you guys talk a lot about at Simply Automate and where that comes into mix. But I think that's such a critical part to start at least thinking of it as a chess game.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Chess, not checkers, for sure. Data is king and queen. Honestly, it's everything. It's how you understand yourself, understand your customers. Internal, external understanding comes from data. So the better you can manage that data, the better you'll understand it. And by implementing AI, it takes the human error away from that. And that's a part that we kind of don't look at. When you can remove the human error, because we make errors, it's just how it goes, guys. But remove that error, now all of a sudden you start to see different levels of efficiency and understanding of your data. That's pretty good. David, what are some of the pros and cons of implementing AI? Because again, it can go good, it can go bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a really good point. Some of the examples that we're starting to see when it comes to pros of AI is being more efficient with our time. Something that might have taken us 2 hours can be done in 15 minutes. We're able to create a better client experience. If we have really good data about our clients, about their birthdays, about the services that they need, we can better upsell them and cross-sell them. We can communicate more effectively. We can make sure their needs are being met and automate a lot of that interaction around kind of just the whole journey. From an advisory perspective, we're able to get deeper within the relationships that we've established. And it's ultimately just another tool in our arsenal that we have to take into account. I think when it comes to the cons, I don't think it's about being obsolete. I think one of the challenges comes back to just cost. And are we prepared or able to invest what we need into the firm to be competitive when it comes to how we're kind of embracing it? But when we look overarching kind of pros and cons of AI, I think overall, most people are very open to the way it's going to help us. And more so just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what that's ultimately going to be. A couple of things that come top of mind. You kind of said it, client-centric. Whatever we're doing, if it's not a pro to our clients, right, we're not benefiting our clients, it's not the center of the conversation around it, then we really need to question whether or not it's worth our time right now to pursue. And I think that's a big way we can think about what's a pro or con in this space.
That's good. That breaks it down. It's pretty simple. Is it a win or is it a pro or a con? Is it beneficial? Can we measure it? That's really good. That's really good. So there's a talent crisis in a lot of places, in a lot of industries. But AI is a solution for a lot of things. AI is a solution for a lot of things, not everything, but when you can find a way to use AI and technology for your benefit, it becomes wonderful. What have you seen in regards to the talent crisis and how AI has become a solution for this?
Well, a big part of and you kind of said this, mundane tasks, right? Where do we leverage some of those tools? Some firms are using offshoring and saying, well, hey, maybe we're better off in investing in AI to do part of that work. If we're scanning K1s, if we're looking at returns or estates and trusts, what's the key information we can extract from that might take somebody 8 to 10 hours to do and turn it into very quick summaries that are relatively accurate? Some of the things that we're seeing is the note-taking, the action-oriented impact around virtual meetings. I think that's one area everybody is going to walk away with from an experiential perspective this year and how it's going to impact our lives when it comes to leveraging AI. So I think when you kind of look at that capacity or conversation, one, what's the work that people just don't want to do going into the industry right now? And what tools do we have that we think can offset that? Two, ultimately, when it comes to making time more efficient. So if those professionals are spending a lot of time in administrative tasks or other areas, can we increase utilization by automating parts of those processes? Those are easy things to do. CX is critical, but so is EX, employee experience. How do we take our handbooks and create a chat bot around it, right? And help automate what we need to be able to create more transparency and a growth culture that's allowing us to have a digital first mindset at the same time. So listen, capacity is an issue. You're seeing numbers down across the board of people wanting to go into the profession, people leaving the profession, trying to figure out where technology is going to help accelerate that curve, but it's not going to do it without people. And you kind of said it at the beginning, human intelligence and, digital intelligence, like these two things need to be working together in order to succeed. I kind of look at it from the growth side as well. It's not either or, it's yes and. It's not either digital. It's not just face-to-face. It's both of those things happening together going forward. When you're making a purchasing decision, you might get a strong referral, but you're still opening up your phone. You're still going to LinkedIn or Google to do your research. And so how that whole experience kind of is happening is the same way we need to think about the AI side of how it's going to impact our profession going forward. And so we need the expertise and the experience of what people do face-to-face with their clients to get the work done. But we also know there's a lot of ways to leverage workflows and automations to be more effective with scheduling and task assignment and leveraging the person's skill sets where they're needed the best.
Right.
I think one area that's still kind of to be uncovered in this whole process is going to be around, billing. If you're used to charging for 8 hours of work to do, a review of the estate or the trust or, other functions, and now it takes 30 minutes, well, how do you bill for that? Right. And so I think there's a value conversation that's coming to fruition as well.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, billing is huge. And that's kind of what the right intelligent automation will do for you. It'll take a 6-week task and turn it down to 6 days, and take a 6-day task down to 6 hours, and 6 hours down to 6 minutes, literally.
100%. And so you're seeing firms address different capacity issues. We're looking at process optimization, attention and retraction, millennial environments, Gen Z, et cetera, offshoring, right? Outsourcing in general, and then ultimately practice management, understanding what's the right client for you going forward. So all of these things are part of it. AI is impacting all of those areas, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be what we have to prioritize today. Let's focus on one thing, be really good at it. Maybe it's an RPA that helps us with the tax returns. Maybe it's outsourcing to a third party that specializes at that side of doing the tax returns, and maybe focusing on kids returns, for example, right? So I think those are all the different areas or levers we can focus on when it comes to the capacity issue or crisis. But that doesn't mean AI is going to be every solution to every problem when it comes to those levers that we have to pull. I think people want to see not just your clients, but also future employees, current employees. They want to know you're taking this seriously and investing time and resources into making it a priority going forward, because we can't run from it.
Right. It's so true. So true. And it brings us to our next question. Basically, is AI, what is AI able to automate, and what can it not? I was actually going to create a post this week about what industries do not need automation or can't use it. I was trying to find, because it's very interesting. Not everything deserves automation. Now, trust me, it was difficult to find an industry, because anytime there's activity, automation can be somewhere implemented. But there are these particular things like the creative side, where you need the human intelligence to actually be forefront, right? So, but from your opinion and your space and your experience, what is AI able to automate, and what can't it?
Well, I think AI has been doing automation for a heck of a long time, where we don't even recognize it, in some situations or cases. And so I don't know if it's a question of what can or can't be done. If we had a crystal ball, right, we'd be playing the lottery today. I think it's a question of what areas of our lives, of our businesses, are going to be the path to least resistance initially, to understand, what the outputs can actually look like. So, one conversation I like to have is regulation. If you look at industries that are heavily regulated, does that necessarily mean there's less automation capabilities, or there's going to be more regulation around what AI means? And I think that's something that still has yet to be uncovered. And so, accounting, by example, is one of the most regulated industries today. And I think there's still a lot to be told on what might end up happening more from a government or legal perspective on what restrictions we might have. So I think when you talk about what can or can't be automated, I think part of it is going to come to fruition being more legal in nature and regulated in nature. And the other side of it is going to be more what the technology can or can't do. If you don't have good data, if you don't have data governance, you might be able to automate something, but that doesn't mean it's going to have any sort of impact or practicality or ROI. So that might be another way to think about it, at least from my lens. And, based on the research you've done, have you found anything that kind of jumps out front and center to you that it's just like, this isn't going to happen right now?
No, there's nothing. The only thing that's, like I said before, that AI is not doing is what a human has to do, like love another person, like provide that personal touch and care. Like there's no way you can do that.
Yeah.
It's when you start getting into the activity, that's where you start to say, okay, well, maybe we don't have to do that as much.
Yeah.
The repetitive activity that is.
Yeah. No, and
No.
I think legal still has a lot to do with this down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For sure. For sure. Well, what do you think will impact every person in 2024? Like what? So ChatGPT, that was an incredible thing. That was when that came out. I forgot what the stats were. That thing got the first million users. First of all, it was the first thing, the first platform with a million users to the fastest. So it got a million users faster than anything. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything. And so fast, and it just started growing. I was like, wow. And that's because it was easy to use and it was able to solve people's problems and take their imagination wherever they wanted it.
Yeah.
So that's so mind blowing. And then they started finding out ways how to take the chat GPT and structuralize it to do specific work for you. And
Yeah.
now you can build certain brain structures in the chat GPT model to be your personal assistant in whatever industry. But from your opinion, David, what do you see, in regards to 2024 and AI? What's the big things coming through?
Well, call me practical. But what do I think is going, and I don't know, Rob, if you agree, the elections. I think everything that's going to happen in the United States this year around the election is going to be impacted by AI. That's going to impact every person in this country. And maybe that's too high level and too realistic of an answer, but I believe that's probably one area that, whether we know it or not, from algorithms to search engines to social platforms to video to deep fakes. I mean, you're seeing all this content come out there. OpenAI talking about the initiatives they're putting forward to protect it. I just believe that that's probably going to be the most influential event, more globally speaking, when it comes to what AI is going to do to each of us as an individual this year.
Oh yeah, that's big. The election. Yeah, I saw a deep fake of George Washington coming out. See, I think he's gonna be running for president. So you got my vote, George.
We need some younger people in accounting as much as we do in this political system that we have. And AI can make them look younger, but they're still, the age they are at the end of the day.
At the end, beginning, and the middle. All right, Dave, we're coming in for a landing here. So again, we're powered by Simply Automate. Here's our second Simply question of the day. If you go automate, and this is literally if you can click your heels, wave a magic wand, just like that. If you go automate one thing in your business life, what would that be?
Awesome. So, one thing that we're really focused on right now is being able to take data and then portray it in a very easy to digest way to various people within firms. Is it the managing partner, the executive committee, the growth leaders, the practice leaders? So how are we taking these data points, these KPIs, these objectives that we're establishing as part of our growth strategies and automate the way they can get pulled on a monthly basis, the way that they're viewed and ingested, and be able to get feedback from each of those people that are receiving this data to ask questions about why this, why that, how do we address this, how do we address that. So one area that is really important to us is being able to create more transparency about what's happening with our strategic growth efforts, especially digitally, when it comes to what are those metrics we can focus on. So that's a lot of what we like to look at, because there's so many different data points across a person's journey. Hey, we got 100,000 page views to our website last year. Well, that's great, but we got no business from it. Well, did you get no business from it, or did you take 7 days to follow up on a lead and you don't understand that when you fill out a form on someone's website, you want to hear back from them within minutes, if not hours? So I think what we're really focused on from how I look at strategic growth in general is taking advantage of the data, the metrics that we are able to have access to, and turn them into an automated way that doesn't require a lot of man hours, but might need a little bit of customization based on the audience that's actually looking at that data. We want to create transparency. Transparency helps with change management, which is going to impact that growth culture, and that growth culture has to start at the top.
Oh, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Love it. All right, what are our final questions here? Give us your best piece of business advice or a favorite quote of yours.
So my business partner, this is a topic he constantly always talks about, always has. Strategy is easy, execution is hard. Execution, the difference between the 3, the 5, the 30, the $100 million firm, our ability to move things forward. And sometimes we forget that, strategy is the easy part. So I really like to, think about what it takes to execute and do it well and do it to the expectations of those around us. But Gary Shamus has said it, says it over and over again. Strategy is easy, execution is hard.
Ooh, strategy is easy, execution is hard, because execution takes consistency. Hello, we talked about that word, consistency. Oh, it's a big one. It's a big one. But David, thanks for being here. I'm going to turn that into a quotable. What's the best way for folks to get in contact with you, reach out to you, and find out more about what you're doing and get some more insight from you?
Yeah, absolutely, Robin. Honestly, this has been a pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity to join you today. If you check out windingriverconsulting.com, subscribe to our newsletter. It's quarterly. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Love LinkedIn. Big fan of it. It's the digital business card, the card of the future, if you will. And hopefully, Rob, we get to do this again.
Oh, I plan to give you an offer right when we get off of here of doing it again, because this was quick. This was quick. David, thanks for being here. Definitely connect with him. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's always good to get information, but it's better to do something with it. I think that was part of the quote. We can strategize all day, but eventually you got to make a move.
That's right.
Hope this was a great automation conversation. Until next time. Automation Nation, Automation Nation.